Hi everyone and welcome to another Flosstube video. This is Flosstube number 40. Today I have finishes, whips, I have a wannabe new start. I also have the winners from episode 38, my 1 year celebration, and I have a whole bunch of knitting. I usually don't have knitting, but just right now I have a lot of knitting because I'm going to be an auntie. So yeah, I have knitting and then I'm going to talk a little bit about my life. But yes, before we jump into all of that, hi, if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. It warms my heart that you want to spend some time with me. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Marika, I come from Stockholm, Sweden, where I live with my boyfriend and my 2 cats. And this is a channel mostly about cross stitching, like 99% about cross stitching. It's a little bit of knitting. At least today. But yes, let's jump into the finishes. So the first finish I actually showed you in the episode 38. This is Poisonous Plants. It is for the hashtag Stitchy for Witchy. So the Witchy Stitcher, she is going through some health issues, and some very nice people on the interwebs decided that, hey, we do a little hashtag, we stitch on some of the designs and kind of showcase them over the internet, get more people to know about this very wonderful pattern maker. Yeah, so I thought I'll join in. I actually had a project, and when I did all the calculation of things, I had the print screen of the stitch in my phone for a year because I was going to stitch this and I just never came around to buying the pattern. This is charted for black 14 count fabric. I have stitched it on brown chestnut. This is 18 count chestnut and the pattern is called Poisonous Plants. So this is all the plants in this little sampler is just poisonous, and when I saw this I fell in love with this, so I knew I just needed to stitch it. This is charted just in DMC, so really up my alley. I have done a couple of changes on this. The first was changing the fabrics. When I purchased this fabric to get into my store, because you can also pick this up in my store, I knew that I needed to figure out a couple of projects for it. And then when I picked this project up, I was like, this is going to be perfect. It's going to fit perfectly on this fabric. So that's kind of why I picked that. The other thing is, because this is 18 count, I still stitched all of these stitches 2/1, but the text I have stitched 1/1 when I did the back stitch. Basically I stitched just with 1 thread because 2 threads actually tried it and it really just obfuscated the text. I also have gone up a color in the text. It is sharded with 612 and I went to the little bit brighter 613 to get a little bit of a higher contrast between the fabric and the thread so that you could see the text a little bit better. So yeah, that is Poisonous Plants. I really love this. There's so many things I really need to finish. That is one of them. The next project was one of these, like, I have been thinking about starting this for weeks now, months now. I hadn't bought the pattern, so I just bought the pattern and I started, and therefore I also done a bunch of changes. And this is Make a Statement number 1 by D20 Stitches. And it says, trans rights are worth more than boy wizards. So yeah, that is trans rights are worth more than boy wizards. I really love this pattern. I really believe in trans rights, so for me it was up my alley, and I think it's important to share this. So I am going to make the other 3. I'm going to make little flags. I'm going to hang it over my bookcase, which by the way is my background when I work, because this is my work computer when I work from home. So I thought that could be a fun thing. There's a few differences, as I said, on this. The trans rights and this little star are actually sharded to be a fancy floss, a variegated thread. I have not had the opportunity to go and find that one, and I really just wanted to start. So I think I saw someone else doing this, but I basically just made the trans flag out of the trans rights using the white, blue and pink that actually already was sharded in this. And with this one I just made it go from blue to through pink into white, like just radiating inwards. A little note, if you are choosing to buy this pattern and you're from Europe, the blue is $38.90. That color isn't released in Europe as a DMC. It is a US only color actually, but I did have my skein. I bought the whole set and I never had a pattern that used those colors. They came out, I think it was 10 colors that came out in that set, 10 or 12. So I never used them before, so I was really happy to be able to get into that scheme because it is a gorgeous blue. The second change I done with this is that Boy Wizards was shirted to be with the 742 Etoil, the yellow Etoil anyhow, and this is 3852 metallic, because I couldn't, I didn't have the time or brain space to go buy the Etoil. There's like, I don't have anything local. I had to go away, and I wanted to start this, and it was evening. So I decided to go with the gold instead. It is a very yellow gold compared to a bunch of the other golds that actually exist. So yeah, that is the make a statement piece number 1. I am going to make all of the others too, but I'm gonna space them out a little bit. That was, after that one was when I started preparing for the whip and finish parade. And when I prepared for that, I think I had 3 days in a row of different things I did. So the first day I added all of my projects, all my whips and all of my finishes into the Stitchery Notion template. It is a paid for template. It is awesome. I love it. I've talked about it almost every video because it really is a game changer if you are a tracker, if you like tracking. I used to track all my things in a little book. I have stopped tracking it in the book because I get everything I need from that template. So yeah. Anyhow, when I did that, I realized I had a bunch of work in progress that maybe have a day or 2 of stitches left. So I actually, before I recorded the whip and finish parade, I did finish this one because it only was, I think it was like 3 or 4 hours of stitching left. So this is the Last of the Rainbow Animal. It is the fox. This is by Emma Comden. It's from the World of Cross Stitching magazine, September 2022. And all I had left was like the orange and yellows. It is stitched on a 14 count Morning Dew by DMC. It is a little bit of a different fabric compared to Swagart. Swagart has a little bit of a tighter hole than this. They have if you really need really big holes, DMC is really great. DMC fabric is a little bit thinner also. It's a little bit more flimsy, it feels like, than the thickness of the Swagart. I don't know how to explain it. It's a little bit different, but I kind of like it. It's like a very subtle gradient between greens and blues, and the piece I had fitted all 4 of them. It was a 50 by 55 centimeter piece, so I think it's basically a fat quarter. I think it should be, yeah, it should be a fat quarter, about a fat quarter that you can go and use. So that actually fitted all 4 of these. I have a little sliver left that I can use for something else. And that was stitched in all the sharded DMCs. So the last finish is actually, I had a whole bunch of days that I worked on my work in progress that I'm going to show you a little bit later. And then I came to a point with that, I'm like, okay, I need something new. I need another color palette. I need something new. And while that kind of it takes me a while to figure things out, so I was continue stitching on that, and I was watching Michelle from Bendy Stitches, her Flosstube, and she showed the Just Cross Stitch magazine, October Just Cross Stitch magazine, and I fell in love with so many of the designs in that magazine. A lot of them I probably won't stitch because they're fairly large, but they're gorgeous. And while I was watching her Flosstube, I went on my iPad and I looked to see if they had it digitally, and they do. And it was only like 19-20 bucks, something like that. It wasn't expensive at all for 1 year. 1 year subscription is like 19-20 bucks. And with that you get all of the regular magazines and the Christmas ornaments. You have to pay extra for the Halloween one, but you can get them all in that app. So of course I bought that, and I started a project because I needed to. And this is actually my first Bendy Stitchy project. So I started and finished that. This is stitched on 14 count Vintage Mocha by Swagart. And this one is stitched in the DMC. I think that was designed in Cosmo. I don't have any Cosmo, so I stitched it in the DMC that you also got in the pattern. And I think it's adorable. I love it. It is my first Bendy Stitchy. I was thinking to get it done before I did this video, but this week just has run by. I wanted to fully finish it. It's a lot because she did it on 18 count vintage mocha, and this is 14 count vintage mocha. This is a lot bigger. So I think I'm just gonna do like a little one of those flip stands. I don't know how you call them. With one side, a front and a back, and then you have a little thingy that helps keep it just standing like a little angle thingy. Flat fold, standing flat fold, I don't know. Something like that. I probably will be doing that whenever I decide I'm gonna do my finishing. But I love stitching this, and this was a super quick stitch. I think I finished it in like 8 to 10 hours at a maximum. And it was super fun. Super fun. So yeah, that was all on my fabric finishes, but I do have 2 teeny tiny finishes because after I finished that, I decided that I really need to make a bunch of the fall and Halloween mail kits because they're so cute and they're so fun to stitch, and they don't take a lot of time. So the first one I have is this, which is a pumpkin bouquet, which is from the Autumn Harvest collection. There are 6 of these in the Autumn Harvest collection. 3 of them are fall or autumn, and 3 of them are more Halloween. But they have the same kind of color scheme. So it is those orange, purples, and greens. They're gorgeous. So again, this is the pumpkin bouquet. Yeah, gorgeous. And then I actually recording this video a little bit later than I was planning because I so wanted to finish this. This is School Mouse. So yeah, that is School Mouse. He has one of those leaves too, so you get a little treasure with it. You get all the beads and the DMCs, and then you get a magnet if you want to make them into magnet or hanging. But as I said before, I'm gonna do all of these into little hangings. So yeah, those were the 2 I finished in the past 2 days. They were so fun to stitch. I just been enjoying stitching a lot in the past 2 weeks. I think that my mood have lifted a lot. I'm going to talk a lot about that later in this video, to the end of the video, but yeah, I've gotten a lot of stitching done for the past week. But yeah, that was all my finishes, so let's get into the whip. And the whip that I have, I actually showed you last week in the whip and the finish parade because it was an active whip. I started this in 2017. It is butterfly and clematis, and I gotten so much done on this. So basically, when I started after episode 38, I was about here. I had come basically to the halfway mark, so I've done all of this just in the past 2 weeks, which is a lot. Which this piece is fairly long, as you can see. It is gorgeous. It still has some to go up there. I'm at like 63% done. I've done almost 30% just these past 2 weeks. So if I would hunker down for a couple more weeks, it would be finished. However, I really feel that I need to take a break from it. It was a very nice comfort stitching while waiting for my grandfather's funeral. So the week before my grandfather's funeral. But I felt after that, I felt that it now has done its thing for this this period, and it's called Butterfly and Clematis. It is a dimension piece, but the pattern is called Sunset, or the brand of is Sunset by Dimension. It is from 2001, so it's a very old kit. I have both the Clematis one, and then there is a companion piece with a bird, and I have that one somewhere. Actually don't know where it is. But yeah, I have both of them, so I'm gonna stitch both of them, but it's gonna take me some time, and this is now going away. So that was all of my active stitching. So my next project is most likely going to be one of those small mill hills, but also I have a little more story to tell. This is going to be a long video today, but I have a little cross-stitching story to you today. Just before I made this video, I went out and made a cup of coffee. Have an espresso machine, got that going and everything. And when it was done, I'm like, oh, pumpkin spice. Starbucks have just come out with pumpkin spice, at least in the US. I haven't checked if they have released them here in Sweden. In Sweden, they can take like a month more, but I don't know. But pumpkin spice had been released in the US, and I'm like, I want to have pumpkin spice spices in my coffee, but I don't have any mixed up, and I don't remember the right mixture. So I went in here to the office to Google that. But on my way from the kitchen, which is like 10 steps into the office, I then had the, oh, but I need a pumpkin spice cross stitch. And then I, instead of looking for the spices, I sat down and I googled for pumpkin spice cross stitches and ended up buying a pattern and then finding myself wondering where my coffee was. Yeah. Brain. That is how my brain works. It like just, it goes red thread, red thread, red thread, just moving on, moving on, moving on. Anyhow, the pattern I got stuck on is another The Witch's Stitcher pattern. I'm gonna put it over here because I haven't stitched it or anything. It is called Pumpkin Spice, no? PSL Zombie might be the name of the pattern. I'm gonna tell you what the pattern is, but it's a pumpkin spice latte and pumpkins and stuff. It's cool. It's cool, okay? I actually, this was the one, was between this one and the Poisonous Pants when I chose the pattern to start with. So now I picked up another pattern and I'm gonna stitch that. And when I saw the fabric that is on the back side of the image, I'm like, I don't know. Is that a pattern? Is that a fabric? Maybe I should just go for something simple. Maybe that also needs to be on Vintage Mocha. And then I just glanced over and I realized I have not that fabric, but a similar fabric. This is where my pumpkin spice latte is going to go on. So I haven't cut out the piece. This is one of two dyed up Dutch chocolate. So if you like this fabric, run to my Etsy shop and pick it up, because I do have this color in 6 pieces of fabric. I have 2 fabrics, 2 even weaves. They are much lighter than this. And then I have a linen that is quite similar, and then I have Ida, which this is 16 count Ida, so that is what I'm going to stitch it on. I don't know where I'm going to place it on it, but I'm like, this would fit perfectly. It is gorgeous. So this is called Dutch chocolate. Yeah, when I'm holding up here, you can see the color very good. It's like pinks and almost little like grayish purples, and this when I dyed this, I talked about it. This is just basically how the dye made it come out like. It's just the dye working. I didn't do much. It is just low immersion dyeing with the Dutch chocolate dye from Dharma. So it is a powder dye that you mix with water and other things, and yeah, it is gorgeous. I love this fabric. It was actually one of my favorite fabrics, that and the red that I did the Unexpected Visitors on. So this is going to be probably my next start, but we'll see. I might do some Mill Hills before I start this, but because it was my last buy, and basically one of my few buys from the for cross-stitching this past 2 weeks. I've been a little bit better at buying fabrics, buying things. Well, I bought the Make a Statement patterns. I bought the Just Cross Stitch magazine subscription. That is a yearly subscription, so I don't see it as something. I have the money this month. I have a little bit of extra money this month, so that is I'm okay with buying those. And then I bought this pattern. So yeah, that was all I bought for cross stitching. I haven't even bought any threads or anything. Being a good girl. I did buy a bunch of other things for knitting though. But before we go into knitting, let's do the winners. So I have a little cheat sheet here. So if you don't remember, I have 4 pieces of things that I gave away. And let's just go through the winners and the product. So the first thing I'm going to take is this. This is 4 outfits by Body Threads. This is a very old project. It says 29/10/2012 on the pattern. So this is probably from 2012. This is an unopened kit. I never used it. I actually won this from a magazine, and you don't really know what you're winning. I used to be very active in sending in things to magazines whenever I stitch things, and in one of them, and you get, if you get published, you get things, and sometimes it is competitions and stuff. And this was one of the things I won. So yeah, I never stitched it. So the winner of this is CLM1913. So as I told you last time, I can only see your handles. So we'll put the comment down below, or comment here, so you can see it. To be able to claim your winnings, send me an email. And I'm going to need, because all of these are physical things, I am going to need your full name and address. which you need to send me in an email to my email, which is marika.stitches@gmail.com, and you can find it in the description down below. Anyhow, so this was for CLM 1913. The next one piece is a, things are running. This is a, sorry. So the next thing is a piece of chestnut Ida. This is a big fat quarter of 18 count chestnut Ida. And the winner of that is Andrea_can_2, and the comment is here so that you can see. So just pause the image if you're wondering if it's you. Andrea_can_2. So it's at before because it is a handle. The next one is the pouch. This is a little pouch from American Crafts. It has a red and white polka dots on the inside. It's a burlap on the outside, white zipper. And the winner of that one is Michelle Ilton 5527. So MICHELEILTON 5527. And the last prize. And this was, except for the chestnut, this was actually one of the most wanted things. The chestnut. You were a bunch of people that wanted the fabric. But yeah, this is a turkey, the turkey owl. So this is the turkey owl that I finished in episode 38, or this isn't this exact, this is a kit to make the same kind of an image, or make a similar one. So it's the full kit, it's unopened and everything. And that goes to NICM2375. So NICM2375. So that was all of the winners from the giveaway from 2 weeks ago. I might be planning another giveaway coming up here. I am slowly creeping closer to 600. It's not going very fast, but when we're at 600 subscribers, that might be happening. Before we leave cross-stitch world, I have one thing left to talk about, and it's my new way of cross-stitching my mini mill hill kits. Because I saw Christine from Calico Whimsy, she was stitching her button and beads in a frame. She basically took the perforated paper and then she just did a little bit of a running stitch into 2 pieces of fabric that she then used in her frame to hold that piece of perforated paper. And I thought it was genius, because that is one of the things when I stitch with the mill hill, is that the papers can be so small, so it can get a little bit crampy in my hands. So I kind of took her idea and I took it a little bit further, because that is how I do. So I made myself a little frame. This is my first testing thing. There's going to be some differences. This is not going to hold so long because it is slowly, it's kind of winding up the thread slowly. So I think I'm going to need to kind of do a zigzag or something around and stuff like that. But anyhow, this is how I done it. I've taken a piece of cotton. When I used to dye a lot of fabric, I always did test dyes on cottons first. I don't do it anymore. I just test dye directly on the fabric. But I do have a bunch of fabrics that are just test dyes. This one is one of the blue ones, and I'm not super fan of the color itself. It's a little bit too primary. But what I did, I took the fabric, and I'm gonna have to hold there so you can see things. I've taken the fabric, I cut a hole that is about 1/2 inch smaller than the cardstock. So the cardstock for the smalls, from the small mill hill. So these kind of kits, they come out with 6 kits in every collection, and so far this year they have done 3 of these collections, and so there are 18 of them every year. Anyhow, they use the same size of the perforated paper. So it's a 14 count perforated paper that measures 3 by 4 inches. All of them measures 3 by 4 inches. So I made a little frame, so it's 3 by 4 inches between the little corners here that I've painted, and then I cut a 1/4 inch in from all of the corners so that I have a hole where I can stitch through. I have these little buttons here, and this is more because I felt it was easier to fasten the threads around a button. So what I do is I do a little loop, and then I just hang it over the button. Then I sew the fabric in touch, and then I just wind that thread around the bottom at the bottom, and then I do the same thing on the other side. It's very simple. It helps me to hold things together. So now we have the knitting. It's been a while because I got a phone call and stuff, but let's get into the knitting. The first thing I have for you is a finish, and that is the socks that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. These are done with a self-striping yarn by Asfaltsflickan, which is a Swedish dyer. She still dyes. There's a link to her Etsy shop in the description down below. I love this. I haven't stitched this specific pattern in a very long time and forgot that I do need to have an inch and a half of just plain stitching before I go on the ribbing. So these are a little bit short. However, our half of our apartment hangs over the entryway of the house. So our floors for half of our apartment is quite chilly. So I think these could be very good to have in the winter here at home. Don't need to have big shafts on my socks for that. But yeah, so these are the socks. By the way, these sock blockers are from Woodico Project. They are a company from Ukraine. I bought them these years and years ago, but I did find them when I looked into them today. So you can still get these blockers from Ukraine if you like knitting socks and you want to block your socks. So yeah, love them. They're about $28 to $29 for a pair. Because I just looked them up, I know that. The second knitting I have for you is the socks that took this place. I love having a pair of socks on my needles all the time. I haven't been knitting for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. It's been a while, but I always try to have a pair of socks, and I have been promising a pair of socks for my boyfriend for a very long time. So I decided, hey, let's pick it up. Because socks are very easy. I don't need a pattern for them. I can just knit. The pattern that I actually based them from the pattern that I use is the lifestyle toe-up sock pattern. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it kind of just goes through the structure of a sock, which is very, very simple. And I picked it because I wanted to learn how to do toe-up socks. I've done very many toe-up socks nowadays, but it was so long time ago, so I picked up the pattern to look on how do I cast them on and everything. And that was also why I forgot that inch. I didn't really read the pattern properly. But these are the next socks. They're also going to be a plain vanilla socks. It is a self-striping yarn, sort of. It isn't like stripes, it's just a beautiful patterning on them. The pattern is, the fabric is from Regia. Regia is a sock yarn from Germany. It's really good. I'm stitching these on 2.5 millimeter carbons. I do 2 at a time. They live here in my little bag that I made myself, which is made to be able, I have this extra little hanging thingy, and that is because I walk and stitch and I take my stitching on the train, and that is very good just to have the bag hanging from my hand and then stitch. Super simple. This is how the yarn is. The first thing I did was to take the ball of yarn and I split it on 2 in 2, so that it is 2 equal parts, so that I can do 1 sock per each. Because these socks are for my boyfriend, I do knit, try to make sure to knit them as long as possible. He likes to have longer shafts on his socks. So that is my second knitting. But the knitting that made me just start going ham on knitting is this. I recently found out that I am going to be an auntie to a little baby girl. My little brother, he's only 3 years younger than me, is having his first baby, or his girlfriend is having his first baby, and he is so happy, and I'm so happy for them, for the little girl, and therefore I want to stitch all of the things. I haven't stitched when my sister, who is my other sibling, had her son. That was 18 years ago. I wasn't really a knitter at that time, so I never knitted for him. However, I thought I would knit for this little girl. And I found this pattern. It's called the Salna Cardigan. I asked them what they wanted. I said, hey, I love knitting. I would like to knit something for the little girl. What do you want? And in what colors? Because I do believe that if I'm going to spend all this time knitting something for them, it needs to be something that they actually want to put on the girl. And because of when the girl comes, I I decided to do a thinner merino wool for the first period of time, and then the next size up I'm going to do something thicker. I was actually out buying some fabric. I don't have it in here, so I can't show you that. But this one, which is the Salna Cardigan, it has a little bit of a lace detailing at the top, that on the yoke, and then they have a little bit of a lace detailing just on the front. So the back do have the lace detailing on the top, but not on the bottom. And then just little arms. It's so little. It's like this teeny tiny thing. It's so little. It is so cute. Anyhow, this is stitched in the Twinkle Toes base, dyed by Lambda Toes. Sadly, Lambda Toes doesn't dye anymore. That was many years ago. She stopped dyeing. She moved away. She moved away from the US. Her husband was in the army. Is in the army. Anyhow, she has coming back to the US, but she haven't started dyeing yet. We'll see if she will. But I really love this. This is an experimental, so this wasn't one of her standard dyes, but I really love it because it kind of looks like an abstract rose, right? With all of these like green leaves, a little bit yellowish leaves, and then the like brighter pinks, and yeah. I love the fabric. It is super soft because it is merino. It is merino, stellina, and a little bit of like polyester or something, the thing that makes it a little bit more sturdy, and it's super soft. So I thought this would be perfect for a little newborn. So yeah, that is it. I have just the arm left and then it's done. I am knitting this on 3.5mm needles. So I have these, like, you get tips and then you get cables and then you can change them. This was actually one of my purchases for this month. I'm trying to be a little bit better at purchasing things, but I really needed 3.5 needles, and when I looked, I also need to replace my 3.5mm needles, and my 4mm needles needed to be replaced because one of them has been bent. So then I found this set, which has a lot of needles that I don't have myself, and you do get this little pouch. So it's basically just to have two sides. Oh, the needle! There we go, we got the needle back. Has these little sides with elastics. Apparently it didn't sit enough on that, but it makes it a lot easier to keep them in the same place, because I keep losing my tips. And it has like a zipper all the way around, so it's very easy to take with you and everything, which is great. So yeah, that is my knitting purchase, and that was the pattern. This is how it's gonna look, and that's the name of the cardigan. I found this pattern on Ravelry and it was really easy to follow. It has both like charts and written. I'm more of a written, I like to read my patterns, so it was really easy to follow. It's been a very quick stitch. I just need to figure out which buttons I want to have on it and finish that arm. So yeah, that was all my knitting for this week, and all we have left is to talk about what has been going on in my life for the past 2 weeks. And it's been a bunch. I'm going to touch, just so you know, I am going to touch a little bit on the funeral, but I'm just going to talk about kind of my highlight, which was one thing, and that was the casket itself. Just so you know. My grandfather passed away about a month ago. His funeral was last Friday, and it was a beautiful sermon, and he had chosen a beautiful casket. My grandfather actually had prepared everything, so it was kind of cool to actually see the funeral from his eyes, which was amazing. He was an amazing man. He was a farmer, a forester. He had a small part of the island where I grew up, and he has taken care of the land very, very well. He's one in many generations that is the last now in many generations that taking care of the land. The land will stay in the family. My mother and my uncle will take over the ownership. I think my brother will start taking over, taking care of it. Not sure though, but I think that was the last thing I heard. So it's still gonna be in the family. Anyhow, the casket that my grandfather had chosen was a untreated pine casket, and it wasn't just a box, like it was a gorgeous casket with all of the beautiful edgings and everything. It just wasn't painted. It was raw pine, gorgeous, and you have all of the knots in the pines and everything. It was so on point, so yeah, gorgeous. And instead of that, like usually on top of the casket during the ceremony there's a big flower arrangement. Instead of that flower arrangement, it was an arrangement of evergreen branches with all of the little green things on it. It was gorgeous. It was very true to my grandfather, and I really feel that everything is starting to lift after this. I kind of have a hard time dealing with something when I'm waiting for something. For me, I need to have that point of now it's over, now you can deal, because I know that there's always new things that comes up in between that kind of just wrecks every work I have done. So I have just like waited to take care of my feelings, waited to grieve until this moment. And it took me a couple of days mentally to take care of it. I ended up, after being quite strange for a couple of days, I ended sitting down with my diary. I have a diary where I write when I really need to organize myself. It's therapy for me. I just have this train of consciousness kind of writing, and I write for a bunch of pages until I feel I have emptied everything out. It works very, very good for me, like therapy wise. It helps to figure out things out, so that's kind of how I do it. I thought I'd share, just in case. It's another of those tools that I have in my toolbox to help me deal mentally, because a few of you have noted that you're so positive, you have such a positive look in life, and I try to, but to be able to have my positive outlook on life, I need to deal with everything that comes my way. And like, I have multitude of chronic illnesses. I have been treated with the strangest kind of medicines for the past 10 years. Like, I have both lupus and chronic migraines. Without treatment, I would have 2 to 5 migraines a day. 2 to 5 migraines attack a day. So going through all of the cycles, because I have fairly short cycles, but they just go on and on and on and on and on, and they get a little bit worse every time if they're not treated. Anyhow, because of all of these things, there's been a lot mentally that I've had to take care of, and the only way for me to stay happy is to actually take care of it. If I would just dig my hand in the sand and just think positively, it would work for a shorter period of time. It doesn't work in the long run. You have to deal with everything that makes you sad and angry and exhausted and tired and everything. And sometimes you have to deal with it 1 time, 10 times, 20 times, but you have to deal with it to be able to have the respite, to be able to think positive, to actually be positive. And that is what I am. So I just want to add that in, just that it's not just thinking positively, it's really handling whatever is thrown at you. So yeah, the rest of the week has been preparing for my new job. So that has been also been a thing. I have been, so on Tuesday, on Monday evening was when I finally felt that I could just put everything that's been going on behind me, that I started to feel like, okay, now I can think positively, now I can breathe a little bit. So on Tuesday, I went out on an adventure. I traveled around Stockholm for about 4 hours, walked and traveled around Stockholm for 4 hours. I went to a yarn store called Ett litet nystan, which directly translates to a small ball of yarn, to pick up a little bit, some balls of yarn for some more little cardigans for the baby. So I have that, but I packed it away because kitties, and I didn't think about bringing it in. So I will probably show it to you when I start the projects. I also went to a store called Pen Store, which is my absolute favorite store when it comes to pens and papers and art supplies. They have a lot of different kind of pen-based art supplies, liquid inks, stuff like that. And I bought some more books. I don't have it here, but I can show you 2 of the things that basically... I bought one similar to this. So this is a Leuchtturm book. It is a dotted journals. I love writing in those. The dots are just the perfect place in between them, and I don't really like lines, so these are my favorite ones. I bought a black one because the color of the logo for the company I'm going to work for is black, and I thought, hey, I want new ones. The other thing I bought was mide liners. So mide liners are basically, there's the ones I had, there was a little mispurchase, but I kind of like it anyhow. The ones mide liners I have, they are highlighters, but they have a little bit of another tonal in their highlighter ink, which makes them not in your face. However, the specific pack that I have, they were the highlighter colors, but just a little bit toned down. But it was still highlighter colors. There was like a neon yellow, bright yellow. Anyhow, I found a couple of packages in pen store, and I thought they also were the highlighters. So they had the highlighter side on one side, and then a little pen on the other, like this. So I bought 2 packs with different colors, but in reality, it wasn't the highlighter, it was the brush version. And I'm kind of not sad about it, because I bought them, one, so that I had a pack to kind of mark in my book for work. I do like a daily, I hold it like a daily page. Every day I start a new page with a new date in it, and there I write everything I'm working on. So every time that I am Googling things that I feel that I need to remember, I write it down. Everything that I have to work with work to do, I write in these, and that I have a running schedule, and I can see it, like physically see it. I don't have it. I also have like the normal calendars online, like Google Calendar and stuff, depending on which company you work for. Anyhow, so I needed that for the book, but also this page, this side, I use to mark my patterns for my molehills. So those are the only ones that I marked in the pattern. Otherwise, I would make a copy of the pattern, or I would mark on my iPad. Those are the 2 ways I do it. But I do, sometimes I print the pattern if I need to. For example, the Just Cross Stitch magazine one, the one for Bendy stitches was on an angle, and it's very hard on the iPad. I think I had to lock the placing. You can lock the so you just see it in one, and then you can turn your iPad and you will see it. But I just don't know how to. I haven't learned yet. So I made a print screen and printed it instead, and then I used the pen to just mark off everything, which works really, really good with these. So because they are highlighter pens, the ink are see-through. They are not so dark that you can't see whatever you write on top or whatever is written underneath. So that's good. They're awesome. So I bought 2 packs of that, and I went to Starbucks because I love Starbucks. I bought myself a new water cup, and I just went around, did some shopping, had a great day. I bought some more hair color, and then I went home. So it was a great day on Tuesday. On Thursday I went back in. I went to meet my old engineering manager for lunch. It was great. We had a great meeting. It's a company that I only worked a week for before I got fired again. Well, I was made redundant. I wasn't fired, I was made redundant. It's different. But he was my EM before, because I worked at this company, then I went to the last company that I worked 2.5 years ago, and then I went back to this company, and then I was made redundant. Anyhow, I had a meeting with him, or a lunch with him. It was great, and that is actually in the vicinity. It's not just where, but it is in the vicinity of my new job. So I decided to go in and do a little bit of looking where my job was, to make sure that I know all of the subways and all of those great things, because that reduces the stress. For me, starting a new place is super stressful. Like, it's so many new people and so many new things that I need to learn and need to do and all of those things. So yeah, it's super stressful, and therefore reducing the stress is needed. Anxiety needs to be reduced. So I looked at, like, where is it? Which house is it? It's actually the same house as other previous job. The jobs have a tendency to clump in different areas. So I did work in the same house a couple of years ago. But yeah, so I found where it is. I also found the closest coffee shop. So I took a coffee there and just sat and people watched for a little while. And then I went back home. So it was a little adventure, but it was a great adventure. I like coming out on those adventures, like looking in the areas and all of that. There used to be a Starbucks in that area, but Starbucks closed down every shop except for one in Mall Scandinavia, which is local to me, which is awesome. One in central Stockholm, and then the one on the train station. Those are the three only Starbucks left in Sweden, I think. So that was a little bit sad, because I like Starbucks. Like, I like Espresso House too, which is our Starbucks kind of equivalent. But like, Starbucks coffee is a little bit different. It's got a good taste. So I'm a little bit sad that they have closed down so much, but they're still in Mall Scandinavia, so I can continue going there. So that's awesome. Yeah, but yeah. So I have talked your ears off. I'm starting a new job. I don't know how many people are left by this time, but you can hear something that I haven't told anyone else. I think I will be doing every other week floss tubes going forward for a while, because I am going to work full time. It's not 80% as I worked before. I'm working full time, and multiple of those days are in the office. So my cross stitching time is reduced both by commute, but also by work hours. So I don't know how much I will get done, and I feel like maybe it won't be enough to show in a weekly video. Also, I need to kind of figure out how to record them, because I usually record them on Friday mornings because I have been off on Fridays. I will be working on Fridays, so I might be recording them on Thursday evening instead. So yeah, that is the plan. I think that is the plan. Anyhow, I'm gonna finish it off here. It's gonna be a long video to edit, but I will see you in 1 or 2 weeks. If I'm not in the next week, I will have a note on the community section, so you can always check there. But yeah, I'm back in 1 or 2 weeks with some stitching and maybe some knitting. Maybe I finish the little baby girl jacket. That would be great. But anyhow, until then, I hope you have an awesome time full with stitching, maybe some knitting even if you're a knitter. And I just hope you all have a great time, and I'll see you then. So, bye!